What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Waifuju video. Today we are in set 2, and there have been a ton of relievers that have come out in MLB The Show 23 since my last video, and more so than any other position, I feel like this is one with the most amount of versatility and cards that you can use right now. So I'm going to go over a bunch of the cards that I think are the best at the reliever and closing pitcher spot in the game. So we're going to go over the 2 must-haves. I'll explain all of them as I get to them, but the 2 must-haves, I'm going to go over my 5 favorite lefties, my 5 favorite righties, and a couple of budget cards. Before we get into it, just remember that all these are just my opinion. If you guys like a card that's not on this list, or you hate cards that are on this list, that is completely up to you. Use who you want, but this is just a path for you to discover some new cards and maybe get some clarity on who's good and why I think so. So let's get into it. All right, we are starting off this list strong. We are going with our 2 must-have bullpen arms in this game at this very moment in time. And you might be asking, what makes a guy a must-have? It's a combination of the accessibility to the card and how good they are, right? So some cards might be fantastic that we'll talk about later, but they might be either super expensive or a pretty extensive grind or something of that nature to get. Whereas cards like this, 99 overall Kenley Jansen, is a must-have in the game because it is so easy to get. It's just an hour or so of grinding, maybe 2 at the very most, and you'll get one of the very best relievers in the game. 99 Kenley Jansen, the 400 save club. Cutter, slider, sinker, fastball, and a circle change is about as good of a pitch mix as you can ask for. 125 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch is insane. 112 K per 9 is very good, and 98 BB9 is definitely nothing to laugh at either. That is a pretty solid amount. But the best part about this card that makes him a must-have is going to be the fact that you can get him in the May Topps Now program. He is really, really good. And again, he's free just with a little bit of grinding. That's what makes him a must-have for me. I think it's a top 3 right-handed arm in the game to begin with. Plus, with him being free, it's just, you gotta get him. You gotta get him. Other must-have is going to be this 97 overall Aaron Loup, left-handed reliever, crazy funky arm angle, 125 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch, 100 K per 9, 102 BB9, and his control is just going to be a little bit better in general because he doesn't throw as hard as, say, an outlier guy. The par gets a little bit smaller with those slower pitches. So Aaron Loup is actually going to be amazing. He has a slow cutter, that's meta. He has a sinker, meta. Changeup is really good, and a slurve. Weird angle. Lefties are a little bit more common than they were in the beginning of the year. But in my first video, there was literally only 3 options. There's way more now. This card is really, really easy to get. He's only 22K right now, and he is in the XP reward path. So all you have to do is just play the game. While you're trying to get that Kenley Jansen or play ranked seasons or grind out Team Affinity, just getting XP will get you closer to this Aaron Loup. In the pack that you get him with, in the incognito pack in the reward path, the very first pack is non-sellable, so I would recommend getting Aaron Loup in that because you cannot sell that pack, so you might as well get a guy you're probably going to have in your bullpen as long as the sets will allow him. So Aaron Loup is a set 2 card, and I think he is absolutely fantastic and a must-have. Real quick, we'll go over a couple of budget cards or free cards that I think are great that you guys should maybe consider using if you're looking for an extra spot to fill in. First is 97 Yennier Cano. A little bit of a weird arm angle. He has a sinker as well, and he has outlier on his sinker, which is awesome. 120 hit per 9, 116 pitcher clutch is insane. I'm sure everybody already has this card, or if not, you're working towards it. 97 closing pitcher Shohei. Just a great pitch mix. He has a bunch of quirks. He has outlier on his fastball. He has really good hitting stats, too, if that matters for you. You could pinch hit him if you really wanted to. He's just awesome. A card that does cost a little bit, but not a whole lot. 97 Scott Barlow. Really good pitch mix. Again, 120 hit per 9, 125 pitcher clutch. Insane. 90 Brooks Raley. His pitching mix is actually fantastic. I know his hits and K per 9 and all that aren't super great, but slurve, cutter, sinker, circle change with 103 BB9 is amazing, and he's going for quick sell, only 8K. The last budget card is going to be this 91 overall Zach Britton. Sinker, slider, four seam. You look at the pitch mix, you're like, that's not that great, but Zach Britton is always just sneaky hard to hit. 114 hit per 9, 125 pitching clutch is amazing. He does have outlier on his sinker as well, so he throws very, very hard. Lefty arm with the sinker is always really good, and people have just struggled to hit Zach Britton over the years. So, all right, now we are moving away from budget or must-haves. We're going to what I think are the 5 best lefties in this game that don't include Aaron Loop already, because I do think he is one of the best. He's a must-have, obviously. But here are the 5 best lefties that I think you should pick from when trying to pick your best possible bullpen. First up, we got 99 overall Josh Hader. I hate the card art. I can't stand when they do sideways cards, but this card is really, really good. Max hit and K per 9, 112 pitch and clutch. His BB9 does kind of suck, so his control isn't the best. It's not ideal. He does have pretty good stamina, too, at 39, which is definitely something to consider. He can probably go multiple innings. He does have outlier on his 2-seamer, which is super interesting. It's not a sinker, but the 2-seamer for Josh Hader is always played better than a majority of 2-seamers in the game. Slider, changeup. It's only a 3-pitch mix, but Hader always gives guys fits or people smash him. So if you feel comfortable with a Josh Hader, this is one of the better ones we've ever gotten. He's also not super expensive. 38, 39K to 45K-ish. That's not crazy bad for a maxed out per 9s lefty reliever. And he's really, really good. Next, we have 95 Gregory Soto. This card is free in the Egg program that came out a couple months ago. Sinker, slider, 4-seam changeup. He does have outlier in his sinker as well as some of the other cards we've talked about. The biggest issue with this card is the control. 67 BB9 is really bad, so he's tough to control with, but he does have outlier, and so fast throwing lefties are hard for people to hit. His circle change is actually a really bad pitch, though. 25 control and 58 break. Avoid using that if you don't have to use it. Just throw it in the dirt and pray it doesn't get smashed and hang. But I think Gregory is a great option, especially because he's free. Again, hard-throwing lefties are always in high demand, and this is definitely a pretty good one. Speaking of hard-throwing lefties, another free card, Jose Alvarado's 98 overall Player of the Month card. Sinker, cutter, curveball, 4-seam. A really weird pitch mix that kind of works for whatever reason. He has outlier on his sinker, so that thing comes in really hot. The cutter kind of acts like a little bit of a slider, per se. His curveball is pretty bad, though, I will say that. His per 9s are amazing. 112, 125, 114 pitching clutch. 92 control is pretty decent as well. This Alvarado gets a lot of people off balance. I think his pitch mix he holds him back a little bit, but it's definitely good enough to get outs. And if people aren't hitting that fastball, again, they're going to struggle with Jose. Nice to have hard-throwing lefties. And again, he's also free with great per 9s. The number 2 lefty is going to be 99 overall Charisma Tyler Matzek. I never thought we'd see a Tyler Matzek get a card that wasn't from a playoff or a particular moment, but here we are. And I mean, this card is insane, honestly. Again, he's a 99 overall, 4-seam slider, curveball, cutter, way better pitch mix, in my opinion, than a guy like Jose Alvarado. And I just really like that this guy has completely maxed per 9s. He's not an arm people have seen over and over again as the years have gone on. So that definitely helps out a little bit. There's no fatigue in really seeing this guy's arm angle and all of that. Seeing him a whole lot. He's only 38K at the high end, 34 on the low end. So he's decently cheap as well. And I think it's probably worth a shot to go get another 99 lefty reliever. To me, he's the second best behind this brand new guy in a Diamond Duo pack. Incognito 99 overall Aroldis Chapman, the missile. I mean, we get this card all the time, and they did change his delivery, I think last year or the year before, and he's definitely not been the same since then, but he still dominates. Again, outlier and pickoff artist, not the pickoff artist matters. Maxed out per 9s on hit, K, and pitcher clutch. 79 BB9 is better than we've seen with Aroldis in the past. He has really good break on a slider, really good break on a sinker or a splitter. And it's nice to see that his control for the splitter and circle change aren't like 30 like we've seen in years past. So this is easily the best left-handed reliever in the game. His price reflects that. He's sitting at 100K. So if you have the extra stubs or you just really want to get a lockdown lefty that you're going to feel pretty comfortable with, this is the best one in the game, without a doubt, in my opinion. But he is expensive. And that's the only reason that he's not a must-have. All right, moving on over to the righties. It's going to be 95 overall Camilo Doval. Only has 3 pitches, but it's a really good 3. And he has outlier on the cutter, so he kind of plays a little bit like Class A does. Throws really, really hard. 114, 115 on the per 9s, 103 pitch and clutch. That is a flaw, in my opinion. Camilo does have a little bit of a weird arm angle. I know it's not what it was in years past, where it's like a complete sidearm, but it still is a little bit of a funky and unique arm angle on this card. I still think this card is a top 5 right-handed reliever in the game when you're not taking into account Kenley Jansen. I think he's great. If you're not still using them, that means you have a bunch of these other guys on this list. Number 4 for right-handers is maybe one of the most polarizing cards because it is either hit or miss with him, depending on who you are and how you like to use him. 99 Eric Gagne. Great per nines, 120, 125, 125 pitching clutch. Great BB9 with 97. Fantastic. His pitch mix is just very strange, right? He has an outlier fastball and then a Vulcan curve or Vulcan change and splitter, which are essentially the same speeds. A curveball that's an ephus. It comes in at anywhere from 68 to 71. So it's really, really slow, especially compared to the outlier fastball. And then a slider, but his slider is really just not very good. It's okay. It's a fine slider. And some people can keep you off balance with them. Others can't. I've never loved Eric Gagne's in the past, but I do recognize that this one is way better than some of the other ones that have not had outlier or have had the curveball be lower on his pitching mixes, so they would have way less control. I think this one's actually pretty decent, and he is not a sinker cutter guy, which is kind of nice every now and then to get a guy who doesn't just spam sinkers and cutters. It's a little bit different. It's a different bit of a look. He is decently expensive now. He was the World Series reward from set 1. He's about 37 to 44K, so not super expensive, but I do think this is a great option. And again, he's kind of a change of pace a little bit as opposed to some other guys. So I think Eric Gagne is number 4. Next up, number 3 is 99 overall Goose Gossage. He is a kaiju card in the collection for set 2. He's the first card you get. I think you need 95 cards for him. Goose Gossages are always fantastic. I mean, he has outlier, pitch, or break outlier, a bunch of other quirks. He has really good per nines. Not max hit per nine, but he does have max pitch and clutch, so it kind of works out that way. The best part about this Gossage, this is the best Gossage we've ever gotten in terms of control. His BB9 is 92, which is really, really good for a Goose card. And his pitch mix is pretty good. 4-seam, slurve, sinker, changeup. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But again, outlier on the fastball. The sinker is going to be a lot slower. That is definitely a way I like to run my fastballs if we have 2 of them. I think Goose is amazing. I just think the other 2 guys are a little bit better. But this card is, again, kind of free in a weird way. If you get all the free Tops Now and Team Affinity cards, this card will just get unlocked for you as you try and get that Hank Aaron, David Wright, and Randy Johnson. So you'll get him along the way. If you have him, it's probably worth putting him in your bullpen. I think he's really, really good, and he's the 3rd best righty. The number 2 righty in the game for me is this 99 Devin Williams. Listen, screwball 4-seam cutter feels like it's not a good pitch mix, but with how slow the cutter is and with just how 80-mile-an-hour-ish screwballs work in this game, I think this Devin Williams is fantastic. I keep guys off balance all the time with him, and I'm super comfortable pitching with him as well. The screwball is a really good pitch that if people aren't sitting dead right on, they definitely will struggle with. They'll be late, they'll be early. Timing is weird on that pitch. The biggest issue I have is that he used to have sinkers, and his fastball used to just be harder. 94 on the fastball is not ideal. I try not to throw it at all if I don't have to, but that doesn't mean it's unusable. I really like this Devin Williams. I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, but I think he's fantastic. Plenty of other people agree. I know not everybody does. Some people struggle with him. I love him. He's the 2nd best right-hand reliever to me. And you guys knew exactly who was coming at number 1 for the right-handed spot. It is 99 overall, Mariano Rivera. The same pitch mix pretty much as Kenley Jansen. Cutter, fastball, sinker, slider, changeup. The difference between the 2 is that Mariano has 118 hit per 9. That is absolutely unreal. Pretty much every pitch is going to go exactly where you want it. And that is just so important, especially when you get higher up in difficulties. He has great speed differentials as well for the most part. And 118 hit per 9, 125 pitch and clutch. The numbers are just off the charts for Mo. The card art's awesome. Enter Sandman, the best reliever to ever play the game. And he's just really, really good, man. He does have a similar pitching repertoire as Kenley. So if you don't like that, I'd recommend Kenley over Mariano just because Kenley's free and you can put those resources somewhere else to make your team better. But if you don't mind having 2 that are really similar, you're going to get 2 fantastic arms with Mo and Kenley. Got a couple quirks, and Mariano's just that guy. He's just that guy. So there you have it, guys. A bunch of tiers and a bunch of groupings, but you have the must-haves, some budget guys, and then the best lefties and righties, in my opinion, in set 2 right now in the game. And guys, put who's your favorite reliever so far in this season down below. There's so many great arms now. It was definitely an issue to start the year, but we had an influx of lefties. We couldn't even make a top 5 list before in the original video, so it's definitely in a much better position. It's way more balanced, and there's a lot of really fun arms to use in this game. So again, leave a comment and a like down below, and be on the lookout for more Waifuju videos. I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.